Well, we are seeing the sobering trend of deadly gun violence in our area.
And a growing number of families are filled with grief.
I went into a complete breakdown.
And there is a price we all pay.
Yeah, from the hours law enforcement spends investigating to medical care and court, millions of your taxpayer dollars go towards something many believe we can prevent.
You know, you're seeing entire communities and tax bases taking on a responsibility for some of the financial costs associated with these things.
We cover these crimes when they occur, but there is a deeper story after the camera stops.
As the nation prepares to mark Gun Violence Awareness Day tomorrow, our sister stations across the country are investigating shootings from this week last year and showing you the impact these crimes still have today. We zeroed in on Tampa and found 3 shootings that resulted in 2 deaths, but getting anyone in the community to talk was a challenge.
Yeah, police say it's why most homicides in the city remain unsolved. And 10 Investigates Emerald Morrow shows us the toll a single shooting can have on all of us and what happens when a community grieves in silence.
It was meant to be a celebration, but it became a night of sorrow. Tampa police say a gunman drove by and shot into a group of people at a graduation party, striking 21-year-old Antonio Richardson. He did not survive. Not a single person has come forward. No one will talk on camera. His killer is still on the loose. Darla Saunders knows all too well the pain the Richardson family feels.
This is Isaiah. He was 7 years old here.
Saunders says he grew into a gentle giant.
Isaiah was like a big old teddy bear, big old tall teddy bear, 6'7", 250 pounds.
But in February 2005, gun violence cut his life short.
It was just the most horrific thing I've ever experienced. Didn't know what to do.
Isaiah Brooks had recently gotten a settlement from a car crash. His mom says she believes someone in her East Tampa neighborhood was after his money.
He had been murdered and about 4 blocks away from where we lived.
Nearly 20 years later, her son's case remains unsolved.
I pray about it. I've prayed about it day after day, just waiting for God to let that answer come through so that we can get some closure, some peace, and have justice served.
You say people in the neighborhood have an idea who did this?
Oh, yes, ma'am. There are people in the neighborhood or that were in the neighborhood at the time that knew what happened. As they were trying to provide answers to me, I even saw one of the houses get their door kicked in and they were intimidated and told that they better not say anything. One neighbor had to move their child out of the city of Tampa for a year because she was so afraid to be there.
And when fear rules a community crippled by crime, the cycle of violence continues.
It wears on you.
Mike Lippold is a sergeant with the Tampa Police Department's homicide squad.
I've had many nights where, I just can't sleep, or I end up waking up thinking about a case.
What's the most difficult part in solving some of these cases?
Definitely lack of cooperation in all the cases, every single case.
Why do you think that is?
I think some is out of fear. Out of, obviously retaliation. I think it could be trust with law enforcement, unfortunately.
This is most prominent in communities of color that have had long-standing and often acrimonious relationships with law enforcement.
Dr. Rick Mole of USF points us to the 1968 Kerner Commission report, which explains root causes of destructive riots that swept the nation the year before, including in Tampa. It cites strained police relationships as one of many causes. A strain Mole says is still there today.
When individuals in these communities don't trust the police and they don't feel protected by the police or they don't feel safe, they're unwilling to engage the police. They're less willing to call them when they need help. They're less willing to serve as witnesses or testify at trial. They're less willing to come forward when they're victims of crime.
And it's a nationwide problem, leading to more killers getting away with more crime. Data from the FBI shows in 1965, the national homicide clearance rate was 91%. In 2020, that number dropped to 54%, which is close to what we see in Tampa.
But I would say roughly more than half are unsolved at this time right now.
That's significant.
Yeah.
What does CPD do to protect people who may come forward?
We try to do the best we can as far as, giving them assistance, maybe as far, I know in the past we've moved people. We do the best to try to keep information confidential. But unfortunately, like I said, everything can't be confidential.
TPD does not have an official witness protection program, so 10 Investigate started asking questions to the state. We learned the state's Violent Crime and Drug Council does reimburse departments for investigations involving victim or witness protection. The program depends on money from the legislature, but 10 Investigates found that right now there is no funding available.
And unfortunately, a lot of people don't have the ability to simply uproot and leave. And so I think for many of them, they feel that the safest route is staying quiet, trying to keep their head down, and hoping it goes away.
For mothers like Saunders, it never does.
Losing a child, period, has been the worst thing I believe that has ever happened to me.
Yet, nearly 20 years later, she still has hope. Hope that someone will break the silence for her son, for others like Richardson, and for the community. A community struggling to cope in silence.
I haven't given up hope that we will find answers. I feel that the answers are there. I feel that we already know. I just want people to do the right thing and go ahead and solve the case.
The goal of this story was to look at gun violence cases from this week in 2022, but on top of the challenge and no one wanting to talk, it was near impossible for us to get more information. Unless the family gave permission, we couldn't even get the names of those killed because of Marsy's Law, which voters approved in 2018. It shields crime victim information that was once public, and that makes it much harder for us to do our jobs and relay more details of what's happening in your community. Right now on 10tampabay.com/10investigates, you can see more about unsolved cases in Tampa and also get some more history on the Kerner Commission report referenced in this story. Emerald Morrow, 10 Investigates.